Goo, what should we do? Oh, that's right. That's a great idea. We should ask Angelo, who's coming soon. Going to talk about Angelo, who's a great unit, but not quite good enough to say must have, especially compared to a couple of the other units in Dragon Quest VIII. Stay tuned and figure out why.
Not now. I've almost got this game in the bag.
All right, Angelo is the other hero that we are going to have currently in Dragon Quest VIII. Very, very good hero who is actually useful and going to be useful in a lot of boss fights coming up. But going to kind of cut at least the initial part short. There are two other units that you should really be focusing on, and he might actually be the worst unit, but still very good unit overall. So let's go talk about him. First one is accumulate, which is raises tension for one turn. This is actually what makes him fairly strong. The ability to really boost out the damage on semi on demand. The second one is fearless smile. Occasionally reduces the defense and lowers physical resistance for 3 turns. Uh, Third one is freezing blow here. This is a nice one. Inflicts 125% critical physical damage to all enemies twice. This is actually a very, very useful skill, something that you're going to use probably the most out of all of them. And the last one is Shining Bow, which inflicts 37 physical damage 8 times. This does a decent amount of damage overall. It has some bonuses and negatives to having 8 times, including the chance to miss more, but also a chance to hit more. And it's also going to be incredibly useful for some of the big bosses down the line, including the big boss where you've got to attack a certain amount of times. Shining Bow will completely negate the field and then some. But all in all, he has tricks that you will need to use in order to do some bosses, but this is where he's going to shine. But it's very niche, and for a lot of other things, he is just okay. Freezing Bow, though, personally, I think is his best skill myself because of the range, and Crackle Physical is still pretty rare. Has a lot of great uses, and I do need a better Crackle user on my team, especially physical. And yeah, unfortunately, Zoma's still probably my best Crackle damager uh, that I have, and I'm still not really recommending because of it. Now, Angelo's leadership effect, increased heroic attack power by 20%, is very, very good overall. Uh, Personally, I do hope to get Angelo, but I will not be pulling very, very much. And I am going to start changing up after Dragon Quest VIII on where they rank in the game instead of just will I start pulling to kind of give you a better idea of how I feel. Personally, I think Angelo is still in the top 10, 15 in the game, but he is on the very edge of that, and that's where I'm just going to stick him there. And that leadership effect kind of keeps him in there because there are some heroes that you will need to use that are still pretty powerful. And with some of the banners coming out, his leadership effect is very, very awesome overall. His awakening skills, I this is the thing that I really like about Angelo is his skills overall are okay, but if you have a very large hero team and this hero team is going to get possible relatively soon if you go hard on the die banner, which is in 2 or 3 months. At the start of the action, for even turns up to 10, damage dealt by others increased by 10% for 3 turns and you for 4. So with the leadership effect being a square, and Angelo's this is a rhombus, sort of like Marquis de Leon as an example. Very very powerful increase in attack power on the second turn, especially if you get him to start early. Um, and you can kind of arrange for your team to do very very high damage on turns 2 and 3 now that they have increased the arena term for to 3 turns. This is very very useful overall. His Frizz and Zam resistance are the next two that he gets there. Then finally, what you get for his third is tension up when attacked and physical power plus 5%. It's random for the tension up, but when it does hit, it is incredibly powerful for him as well. And the last one is increased physical and spell resistance for 3 turns and physical power plus 5%. That is fairly powerful for Angelo. His last skill is a very big power jump for him, but I just don't feel he's really worth it. He is a supporter, though, without really having a super amount of supporting skills. And I believe that's where he is weak in that regards. His heroic attack power, 20% leadership effect, and the first awakening skill are very, very good. If you're like Angelo or are very interested, I highly just suggest that you go for the first awakening, and that's all. His stats are uh, better than you'd expect for being a more of a what I would call a support unit. His attack is pretty high, and he can dish out the damage. Remember, with his leadership effect and with his ability to increase 10% on turn 4, because it's 4 turns, you could get a very large increase in power overall, plus additional power in the third and fifth. You start seeing that 503 and it goes really high. I am a little disappointed by the 250 here and the 300% here for the Shining Bow for only one for like the percentages, but it does get made up by the fact that his attack is incredibly high. The HP and defense are also fairly decent. I would call for someone that, if he was a frontline attacker, would be fairly low. But since all of his skills are pretty much ranged and all you care about him is kind of being next to things, that is definitely going to suffice for what he needs. His agility is pretty high, which is great because you want him to go first on the second turn on your team to get that really nice 10% for everybody attack as well. Wisdom's 225, which honestly don't care. You can't give him a skill. He doesn't use wisdom anyways. Movement is 3 and weight is 60. His preferred weapon is going to be the Knight's Rapier, which is currently in the field right now. And he's got HP 36, attack 11, physical power plus 2%. And you're going to really, I feel that you're going to want to go Heaven's Rain or Freezing Bow here for his skill and attack and agility. Shining Bow, too, if you want to do with a bang, but that's all up to you. His hero skill, though, is a very, very nice skill on turn 3 for him. His one weakness would be relatively low HP, but he can heal himself with the hero skill. Here's a Buchigari mode. Didn't quite change it to the Shining Blast there, but inflicts 250 or 205% power damage twice on all enemies, and you can see there it's a range 4 bang, what I would call bang AoE on all enemies, and recovers 20% HP of the damage. So basically, as long as you attack more than 1 or 2 units, it's a pretty much a guaranteed full HP cover if he does attack with 2 with how much power that he has. So it is a very powerful skill. And you can see the damage done here. It is just massive right there, even against one enemy. And the equipment here was nothing too fancy. He was doing 1,300 damage. 20% of that is going to be roughly around 300 HP. With 900 HP, 2 units will be at least 2/3, if not higher, especially if you have a better overall team in place for him. So I really do like his hero skill. It does really help with his one big weakness. Think of this as similar to Terry back a couple months ago, except Angelo has a bit more power overall, and I think he has a little bit more usability. This is where, once again, I would love to get him with one dupe and be able to use him. But all in all, compared to Dual Magus and Jessica, I just don't see the resources to spend on Angelo other than the free one that you get and maybe the paid guaranteed S summon. So for the pros, his special move has large damage and healing capability. Yes, it can only be used once, but it is a great ace in the hole. Shining Blow can be used to cheese some boss battles with 8 hits. Once again, as I say, that is important. He is used in a decent amount of odd clears that do make life a lot easier for most players. So he has great usage in those regards, but from an overall standpoint, I don't see people using him nearly as much. And as I say, if you've got Nocturnus, he has ability to do 5 hits, which is usually good enough, anyways. But that first awakening gives increased damage, and that's damage with a lot of other people as well, which is absolutely fantastic. Cons, his damage ability is a little weak turn one, unless if he becomes a hero, and by a little weak, yes, you're going to probably want to raise tension anyway, so it's not a huge knock on him. The other con that I want to say is his top tier damage. It can't actually get there, but it's locked behind elements. The combinations are a little weird, which is a good and bad thing. And these cons are getting really nitpicky here, but Angelo kind of dies by 1,000 cuts here in this banner, just because he is surrounded by such awesome units. Um, and it's the small things that pull Angelo down. As I say, his HP and defense are good, but not great. His skills are good, but not great. Other than his crackle skill, which I think fills a niche. And so, for people who are looking for that or did not get Nocturnus, then he's going to be useful with his 8 hits. And Jessica has stolen, obviously, my heart and my resources. So at this point, my recommendation to myself is no, I will not pull very hard. I am just going to get the free tickets plus the guarantee. And I do hope I get him. But if I don't, not that upset. I will be a little sad. His MP is also fairly low, which will give him the ability to really hit fairly hard for 5 or 6 turns, and then he's pretty much out of gas. But with the 503 attack, even his normal attacks, and with his buffs that he can give himself, at least up to turn basically 14, gives him the ability to go long without having that MP as well. So the summonable unit for Angelo is Tentacular. Basically, it is Squidzilla Jr. The first one is a nice skill that increases your attack and power by 1.5x for a turn. Second one's Forbidden Ice, which is a nice martial crackle damage on all enemies and conceal movement. And with his HP and defense being fairly high, sealing movement, forcing the unit to attack it is not the worst thing in the world. And with Kiki, even though its movement is 2, its agility is actually not bad at 347 for a squid monster A level unit. It can take that damage, and with the Kiki, even it's only 310 attack, because the attack doesn't really matter too much on its 2 skills with the martial damage, and the power is for that will boost your Forbidden Ice and Tentacle Stretch. It is actually a pretty good overall data set, and I'm very, very shocked at how good this unit is, or at least maybe better answers how well the kit's designed. It's a very well designed kit, and the unit itself is has a decent amount of use, especially for a level. Tentacle Stretch does martial damage on all enemies, pulling them one square, and occasionally movement sealing enemies. This is great when you're doing like a physical team, and also later, not that much later, we're going to get Dual Magnus and forcing a physical team, not letting them move, and having both Tentacular and um, Dual Magnus as an example. By playing the game correctly, you can really hamper a lot of teams' effectiveness overall. So it definitely has some interesting niches to put into. So, uh, all in all, very, very interesting. And sorry about that, everyone. So, leadership effect is not great. Increases physical skill power of nature by 10%. Really not going to use that much nature skills overall. What should you do with him? Add physical if possible. What I really like is the first awakening also increases movement greatly each even turn. So on turns 2 and 4, when enemies start trying to move away, he can draw them back in. So it has some pretty good uses there. And his third and fifth awakening gives 5% movement seal rate. Once again, he is a great unit for kit wise. Overall usefulness, I would say, is good. The one thing that I would really suggest is, and I suggested that we do another attack skill, a defense down or an attack down with Tentacular as well is a great add for this unit. So you can either go with a different element, which I suggested here, or an attack defense down. So you can go with the seal movement and then try to go with that route. Or if you don't care about the seal after holding down an enemy and need to finish off a boss, having the ability to lower attack or defense also makes Tentacular that much more useful. Um, all in all, I do like this A unit. I really like the kit. I think it can be useful overall. You could give it more HP or more agility, depending on how you want to go with it. What I would probably suggest is if I was facing a really fast team and I just wanted to pull an enemy and allow it to maybe take a hit or two, or if the team, if I knew the whole team was faster, having a slower tentacular for turn 1 is fine. You can draw enemies and move them closer to you, and then have your team destroy them turn 2. And if you're lucky, seal. I see a lot of interesting things with this unit. So I hope you guys enjoy. Me and Goo do apologize for being a little late with this one. We will be covering Yangus also, hopefully either today or tomorrow, and just kind of going through that a little bit more in detail. So I hope you guys enjoy. Personally, I'm enjoying a content where they kind of force you to focus on one thing instead of me trying to do everything at once. So, what do you guys think about the upcoming or the way that they're doing Dragon Quest VIII right now, where they're putting it more in parts? It does suck though a little bit because it would allow people to go a little harder on Jessica as well, but Jessica's here to stay for a little while. So let me know in your thoughts and comments below. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It does help the channel grow more and more. You can also find me on twitch.tv/MattGuru, where I am very happy to answer any questions that arise. I do a lot of other games, and I do know that I run my Twitch channel 24/7. So I will tell people when they're live in the upper right hand corner so that people can plan and try to ask the questions live as well. So thanks, everyone. I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you guys later. Goo.